I think. Oh, hello. I was just waiting for the screen to change. Hello, welcome to episode number 45 of Absolute Scenes. You can follow us on Twitter at Scenes Podcast and on Instagram at Absolute Scenes Pod. Billy, how's your week been?
Yeah, well, it sounds though it's going better than yours because you've just fumbled all over that introduction. Yeah, it's going all right. It's been raining most days here in Wales, which is quite normal, which has made things quite difficult here. You know, being a PE teacher and not having any sports facilities, outdoors or indoors to use. Well, as in ones which have shelter. So it's been quite difficult because the pupils are turning up in their PE kit and staying in that kit the whole day. So it's been quite difficult with that. But they've been great, in fairness to them. When we've had doors in like classrooms and stuff, they've got on with it, and it's been great. So fair play to them. It's been quite difficult, but yeah. Takeaway tonight, which is good. Always great on a Thursday, which is what we're doing now. We've moved the podcast to Thursdays. So once we finish here, I'm having a takeaway, which is great.
What are you having?
How's your week been?
What takeaway are you having?
Mexican.
Oh, wasn't expecting that.
There's a Mexican place in Cardigan which we frequent every week. It's quite good, and it's full of vegetables, which you'd be happy to hear.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have quite a few meat dishes, but it's one of the few places I think where there's a vegetarian option or pescatarian option and things like that. So yeah, that's what we do most weeks and stuff. So yeah, it's good. How's your week been?
It's been very good. We've the kitchen is now completely finished. Apart from a couple of walls need painting still now, but it's looking very, very nice. This room is becoming a little bit less cluttered, so there's a bit.
Yeah.
A few boxes have gone downstairs, but this the weekend that's just gone, I spent all weekend gutting my house and listening to Audible. So I about 6 or 7 hours, I think, I've listened to my book. I finished my book as well, by the way, now, Billy, completely finished. Would recommend, definitely, if you want to learn about the whole history of the world. It's a pretty good book.
Yeah.
So, yes, everything's all go at the minute here in terms of houses.
Go.
Yeah. So in the next week or so, it's going to be really, really busy in the evenings and stuff, getting stuff ready for what's happening next. But I don't want to go into too much detail on that on the podcast at the minute.
Live on air.
Yeah, but it's all very, very exciting. But sadly, Billy, there's some bad news. There's some sad news for those people who've been following the podcast for what would it be now? 6 months back in April.
It's probably a year.
Well, I was going to come to that. I was going to come to that. So we're 2 weeks away from doing it for a year, but we did have a 3-month break during lockdown and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not 52 podcasts, which is annoying. We did have a really good streak of nearly 30 episodes, I suppose it might have been, in a row. But 6 months ago, Billy and I set off on a challenge to get Macclesfield Town from League 2 to the Premier League and Champions League. We've both, did you get to the Premier League or did you give up? Did you lose interest?
I got to the Premier League. Yeah. I got
Billy
to the Premier League, but lost interest there.
Billy was far more successful, won lots more trophies than I did. But sad news this week. Then Billy, you text me the story. Talk us through what's happened to Macclesfield.
Basically, Macclesfield have been in quite a lot of trouble, probably in a similar sort of vein to Bury at the start of the season. They've had throughout the year, though, they've been in and out of. There's been strikes, I think, or things like that, with the players not being paid and stuff like that. And it's finally caught up with them. At the end of the season, they were docked points, so they ended up getting relegated to the National League. And then subsequently now they've had I think it's classed as a winding up order where they're being expelled. They're going to be expelled from the National League. It has been quite confusing when I was reading the article. I think it is going to be, unfortunate that they're going to be done, because I was reading that their first 3 games of the league, because they're supposed to be starting. The League 2 the National League hasn't started yet. So the first 3 games have been postponed, but then they're going to be suspended. So from what I'm looking at, whilst I'm talking, I'll have a quick I'll have a quick flick through and have a look. But from what I can understand, it is there will be, unfortunately, no more, which is really, really sad news. It's another team which unfortunately has probably been hit with a lot of what's been going on recently in the world. So it's from the October the 12th. They'll be expelled from the National League. It's been suspended from the league prior to that date because the league starts. I think it's this weekend. So prior to that date, they'll just be suspended, and it'll be a similar situation, I'm presuming, to what happened with just one less in that league, and then the team will have buys and stuff like that when they play each other and stuff, which is really sad. I know you, like you said, we both spent. You obviously spent a lot more time getting to know the players, probably, but even then, shipped out pretty quickly with our league. Once we were going up the leagues, but it's just sad to see because I know you in particular. I'm more of an armchair fan, if you will. Like, I don't go to many games. I try to go to a couple of games a season if I'm lucky. Whereas you are a frequent member at Molineux. You go to the occasion. One or two games probably is a bit, strange to you this season, which is probably what you've been offered to do and stuff. But yeah, it's a bit sad. I don't know if you got any thoughts that you want to add to it, Tom.
Well, I think it's the whole situation at the moment is just a huge concern for teams. Well, of all football teams, really, whose finances are not in check. So, like, if you can go up as high as Bournemouth is supposed to be the highest example of clubs who could go completely bust, and then all the way down through the whole National League. I know that Dover, friend of mine, Robbie, he's from Dover. He follows Dover as well as Liverpool, but he was saying that they've had to put all of their players on the transfer list and stuff like that. They've had to release all their players. And it's going to be impossible for clubs to continue going if they don't have support from governments. And I think that's something I read today, or I saw a headline at least, about a global approach to this, because it cannot just be England support their lowest ranked teams and Germany and Italy let their lower clubs die. It has to be something that's supported from the top, which is supposed to be FIFA in football terms, but then you've got ICC in cricket and World Rugby and whatever in the different sports. We'll need to concentrate on making sure that they do not lose the grassroots of all these sports, because without that, you don't have. You can talk about individual success stories of Jamie Vardy and players who've come through from non-league into Premier League and made an impact, but it's just. It's people's lives and people's communities that revolve around football clubs. And, even people who don't like football must appreciate how important football clubs are to local communities, and how, you've got 3,000 people, like a little town like Ipswich, every 2 weeks you get 3,000 people coming to the town and putting money into the pubs and to the restaurants and stuff like that. Obviously, it's very, very important that at some point we get back to that, but at the moment, with what the restrictions that have tightened up now, it looks very, very unlikely that's going to be the case for the next 6 months, is what appears to be the case. Which is, we're sitting here, the 1st of October was supposed to be the first day where there were some fans back in stadiums, but it's we're looking.
That's strange. There has been some positive news in the world of football. If you look at in a similar vein, I don't know if you've seen. I nearly can put it as one of my stories for this week, but I presumed you've probably heard it a bit about Wrexham being subject to a takeover by Ryan Reynolds, famous movie Hollywood actor, from Deadpool and things like that. He's been linked with, I think some sort of consortium. Him and one other chap, I think it is. I've been linked with buying the club, which is, it's come out of nowhere. Obviously, Wrexham is, in North Wales, so it's not as though it's taken over the whole of Wales. But it could be nice to see if another team, could. I don't know how long it would take them to get, because I think they are in the national leagues, aren't they? They're not. They're not part of the Welsh Football League. They are part of the English leagues.
When we were growing up, they would have definitely been a lower league team. They were always in League One, League Two, and as far as I could remember, until as soon as they got relegated, they've just really struggled to come back. I don't think they have been promoted back. They've got to the playoffs and stuff a couple of times.
Yeah,
I think they won the the FA Trophy or something. There was one season where
Yeah.
they played at Wembley like 2 or 3 times through various different competitions in the playoffs and stuff. But they just haven't quite done it. But yeah, I remember being in university and having a discussion with Josh and Liam, and they were saying. Liam was saying, there's no way Wrexham will ever play in the Premier League. And Josh was saying, well, they could if they had the right investment and the right management, right coaching, right players in the right time. It could happen. Yeah. And this could be that kickstart that both Wrexham and Josh Williams need. Oh.
Yeah. Oh. I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
Sorry.
Take a look at the help section in your Alexa app.
Okay.
I mean, considering we were talking about her last week, she obviously was feeling left out and has decided that she wants to join in this week.
I'm just going to unplug her.
Unplug it, just in case.
Very sorry for that interruption. I don't even know how that happened. Oh, no, it didn't say anything.
No, whether it was trying to ring Josh for you.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, it's one of those things. But yeah, hopefully, it's still in the early stages yet. But I just know he tweeted someone back this week from something like, I think it was like from 8 years ago, who tweeted him about turning up in Wrexham, and then he's just gone, yeah, you never know. And obviously it's him. I've just got the article here now. It's Rob McElhenney, I think it is, who's from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I've never seen the shows, but it's obviously two actors who are, which is quite strange, I think, for them to come. Normally they go in to buy American football franchises and stuff like that, but probably the investment that is needed, for a football club like Wrexham is a lot less than something that is in the MLS or anything like that. But yeah.
There was another couple of things about that story was that I don't know how many people voted on it, but I think it was around about 1,000 people on the Wrexham AGM or whatever it might have been.
Yeah.
And one person voted against the takeover. And I don't know if you know who Bootlegger is. Have you ever seen him on Twitter?
Yeah.
Or he's a Wrexham fan, and my first thought was of him. Because he's made quite a lot of success of Wrexham being rubbish. There's quite a few very funny videos of him having a go at Chester fans because that's their big derby.
Yeah.
And I bet he was thinking, no, I don't want this success. I want to stay down in the National League so he can still be popular and famous. But moving on then, Billy. I asked you beforehand, but you said you haven't seen it. So the Trump and Biden first presidential debate, in inverted commas, for those of you who are listening, it was atrocious. Have you seen any of the highlights?
No, purely because I've heard it's atrocious, and I was just like, I can't be bothered with all this drama.
So I know that we have a couple of American listeners, I believe. So if they would like to inform us even further on the sort of vibe of the general population out in America, but as an outsider, neither of them look presidential. Neither of them sound presidential. Yeah. I feel really sorry for Joe Biden and the whole Democrat Party that he's the best that they've got. And it was either him or Bernie Sanders, who I think is even older than Joe Biden.
Whoever wins this election will become the oldest president because of Trump's change in years. And I think Biden's older than him. So whatever happens now, one of them will become the oldest president.
Yeah. Biden is 77 years old, and boy, does he look it as well. There was one point where I felt so sorry for him because Trump was just attacking him through the whole thing. They weren't having to go at each other about policies. It was just character assassinations from both sides.
Which is what they were doing. Which is what, if you remember, when it was Hillary Clinton, it was the same sort of thing there. I know. A few of my American friends had spoke to them, and they were, I think they were expecting that, and I think that's why I think the Democrats have put Biden in, is because I think they're anticipating him only not lasting the full term, and then someone younger, stepping up to the plate and stuff. But they thought, well, we'll put him in to take all the flack from Trump, because then it'll be someone else will step up to the plate and whatnot. But it's going to be interesting.
I think we've mentioned it before on the podcast about how America went from having such a progressive and young leader in Obama to the two candidates now that are just so I don't know. I don't know the right word to describe them.
It's almost 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's probably the best sort of analogy.
5 or 6 steps back. I think if you like when we were younger, George Bush was always the butt to any joke about anybody being stupid. But Trump is not only stupid; he's so aggressive and nasty, and I can't. Well, I remember saying last time that I can't see him winning. I can't possibly see him winning, and then he won. And I do feel the same this time. I can't see the American public falling for it again. But
that's the thing.
More Americans voted against him than voted for him. But it's their stupid system.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not as simple as whereas in the UK where we have this voting system where it's the majority. Whoever wins the popularity, if you will, is the one who becomes prime minister. Whereas the electoral system is so convoluted and complex that you don't need to be the most popular. It's just the weighting behind yours. Yeah. But on a positive note, Spitting Image, as we've spoken about previously on the podcast, they're going to have a field day with it. Because it's going to be one of those things which is constantly, especially over the next few weeks. I know they've released a trailer. Have you managed to see it?
No, I've not. No.
So basically, if you go and look, it's basically they've got Trump and who have they got? Trump and Boris Johnson in a sauna, enjoying themselves in this sauna, and Putin comes in, and they've made Putin tiny in comparison to. The other leaders, and they end up getting their robes off. We'll put it that way, and there's some sort of fight, some sort of sword fight going on, which is quite funny. But you can imagine they're gonna have a field day because they are really against they do tread the line to the comedy sketches like that. So I can see Trump being the butt and Boris Johnson being the butt end of quite a few jokes over the next coming weeks when that comes out. But yes,
good. Let's hope so. Right, what feature would you like to do next, Billy? It's a very Billy-heavy podcast.
I mean, it's amazing.
Hit us with a poll, or believe it or not. Believe it or not.
You can decide, Tom, because
let's hit us with a poll, Billy.
So it was following on from last week's poll, which Tom can clearly remember, which was
Indian
about.
Food.
No.
Oh. Hang on, I wrote it down. Oh, no, I didn't. No,
it was chocolate bars, and you requested that we find out. So last week we'd asked about which company produced the best chocolate bar, and then you said, right, Billy, now go and find out. Can you remember which company they voted for last week?
I imagine it must have been Cadbury's that were.
Yeah, so Cadbury's, and then you said, right, go and find out now which Cadbury's chocolate bar is the nation's favourite. So I picked 4 because obviously there's quite a few. So I went, rather than going down the dairy milk variations, if you will, because obviously there's dairy milk, and then you have fruit and nut, caramel, and stuff like that. So I went dairy milk, and then I went the caramel because I think that's probably one of the 2 popular ones. I don't think many people would have chosen the fruit and nut.
You say that.
I do say that. And then I went flake and twirl. I put them together because they are really similar. And then I had whisper because they were the main ones. Crunchy was the option that I left out, which I apologize to any crunchy fans. So I put it up yesterday, and it finished today, and I've been keeping an eye on it. Have a guess, Tom, how many people voted? Because we've had 5 and 4.
Well, I'm hoping that it's going to be 6 this week.
No.
3.
We had 1 vote. 1 vote for the whole thing, which I had, in fairness, I had preempted. So what I've done, because it's been so poor
I've asked my family and friends.
Even better, Tom, is because I preempted, because we had such a poor showing. Obviously, I've had different glasses today, so I've asked people as a result of the lessons, favorite chocolate bar, and surprisingly, the result's still the same.
Oh,
the percent, wow. But it's still the vote exactly the same as. So caramel, most popular answer. I'm not gonna go through percentages because I just did a tally and added them up and then added this one to it.
That's
but
not
caramel
good enough, Billy.
was the resounding. Well, I'm sorry, Tom, but considering I had a contingency plan as a good PE teacher would, and I added them up, I think that's quite good going. It had over 100 votes. We'll put it that way, purely because I had
the most popular vote ever.
It's been the most popular vote by virtue of me having 6 classes of 30 today.
Yeah.
So that's what.
And you only got 100 votes.
The most popular thing. No, as in caramel had 100 over.
Right.
Votes,
okay.
As in the other results then. Yeah, so the other options did get votes, but as a result, so it was a lot less and things like that. But yeah, but caramel is the nation's favourite, or especially Cardigan Secondary School's favourite chocolate bar.
Right, well done. Billy Roach investigates. So
I'll move on to Believe It or Not.
Biscuits next week, Billy.
Biscuits you want next to you.
Yeah.
Biscuits. I think if you do the same, if you ask, we could even do a comparison. We could do a comparison between the Welsh schools and a school from Dudley. What are the differences there in terms of, is there a difference between the two nations and their favourite biscuits? Because I reckon there will be, especially with biscuits. There'll be a massive thing. We'll have to off air decide on the options that we're going to need.
Okay.
And we could probably go down that route. But anyway, moving on to probably the more successful feature, I would say.
I really like that nobody ever votes on the polls. I think that's really funny.
Yeah. Well, the first week we did have 100 people.
Yeah. Well, look what's happened since I've left Twitter. It's fallen to pieces, this podcast.
Yeah. Well, the poll at least.
Yeah.
I'm getting, so I've got the news articles up and I'm getting all the cooking, will I accept all this stuff. So I'm trying to click frantically to get them off so I can read the headlines and stuff. So, ready, Tom? Are you ready for, what do we call this feature?
Believe It or Not.
Okay, so I'll just name the 3. Okay, so lottery winner arrested for dumping £200,000 worth of manure, ex-boss's front lawn. Rail workers suspended after man cave found underneath railway, and Subway bread has been ruled by a court that it is not bread.
Okay, right. I'm going to ask questions this week. Then, what has the court decided that the Subway bread is? Then,
it's been defined as not bread, and it's because there is too much sugar in the bread, so it's 5 times the legal amount which is in bread, what is defined as bread. So it's been defined as something else, as a baked good. I'm presuming it's so it'll be
a pastry.
So it's obviously still classed as pastry, so it's still classed as something else, but it's not bread per se.
That reminds me of the myth that used to go around about Big Macs, that the reason they had gherkins in them was because otherwise they had too much sugar, that it had to be classed as a dessert. But I don't know if that was ever true. Okay.
I don't know if it's true.
So that's the Subway one. The man cave one. So where was this story?
This was in New York Grand Central Station.
Oh, and he managed to build a man cave underneath Grand Central Station.
Yeah.
What was it? What was
February about it? And they used to hang out and get drunk and party in the room. And it was only found out because it was deemed there was a fire hazard in there. So they had to obviously get it. Must have been like pat tested or something. So it's an anonymous tipper. So yeah, they had like a micro fridge, TV. You would any good man cave, if you speak to Simon Tilley, friend of Geek Man Cave, probably anything like that. I don't know whether they had any figurines that got to his level, but yeah, they obviously just had this. It was in a storage. I think it was a storage room underneath, where it had all of these things and stuff like that.
Okay,
so,
both stories sound believable so far. What was the first one again? I can't remember.
So a lottery winner is arrested for dumping £200,000 of manure on ex-boss's lawn.
Again, it sounds plausible. Just so, is this a British story? It sounds British.
No, it was American. So I've converted it. It was $200,000.
Right.
But
Okay.
I thought if I went, you might not believe me if I said.
So can I ask any details?
Well, it is. Yeah, it is. You can ask me whatever you want about it.
So
but I've converted it. It was 250. It was $250,000.
Yeah.
But it's 200,000 pounds is the the
I thought it might have been the weight of it as well, but
anyway, no, not the weight of it. It's the value of it.
Okay, tell me then what was
20,000 tons. 20,000 tons.
Oh my God, what was his name?
Brian Morris. Brian Morris. He's 54.
Okay, how much money did he win in the lottery?
125 million.
Oh my goodness, definitely American.
It's America, so hence why on the Powerball multi-state lottery 2 weeks ago.
Right. Well, Billy, I think you've got me again. I think I'm gonna go for the Subway one being fake because having eaten Subway, the bread has never struck me as being particularly sweet, unless it's one particular type of the bread. But I don't know. So I'm gonna go for the Subway bread not being too sweet.
Okay, so the railway workers is true.
Yes.
That is, they found three railway workers where it was an anonymous tip. A wireman, I think it was a wireman, a carpenter, and an electrical. I think that was. It sounds like a joke. They were the three employees who were found this establishment with this secret break room. So you were right there, Tom. However, this is breaking news. That the Irish court has ruled that Subway bread is not bread. So I've had to struggle. So it's literally just broke today, this morning. So it's an ongoing news story. So it might turn out to be fake. I'm looking at The Guardian, so I thought I better, because I saw it on Twitter just before coming on air. I thought if I can find it on some, legitimate website rather than, these various random ones. So yeah, it's the white bread and whole grain bread, and it's the definition says for differentiate bread from other baked goods. I'm trying to see here now if it says what it's been defined as, but it's not up yet on this news source saying what it's being defined as instead. It's just
brioche
not being defined as bread. 5 times is what it is. So lottery winner is fake. I managed to fool you again with these stories once again.
I did think whenever you give me the name, I always think that it must be fake then, because he's thought of a name. I can't remember what the name was. Or was it Brian Morris?
Yeah, Brian Morris. Well, it's because the other week you asked for the name, so now I am purposely getting names ready. So I'm just putting a random generator. Right, give me a name, and it's coming up. So at least I've got something. Yeah, so I've got some name. But if in case of I find another story, I'm just glad you didn't ask for me the names of the workers, in the things. But yeah, that's another week, Tom, where I've gazumped you.
You've bested me yet again.
I've bested you once again. Just some breaking news, Tom. I'm looking now. It's not come out just yet, but the Champions League is currently being drawn. Man United have got PSG, Leipzig, and Istanbul. I think you played against them. Yeah,
no, we didn't. We played against Besiktas, but that's the other team. There's loads of teams in Istanbul, and they did quite well in the Europa League last year. They got through to the beating Germany, I think. So I think they did quite well. As well as us. So very good.
Liverpool. Well, Liverpool have got Ajax, Atlanta, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's that Dutch team that begins with M. Is it Midtjylland?
They're not Dutch. They're Danish. Danish.
Is it Danish?
Midtjylland.
Yeah, Midtjylland. That's it. I thought it was Dutch. There must be a Dutch one which is similar, so I apologise for that. Chelsea. Yes, here we go. They've got Sevilla, Chelsea, Kraz. Topical at the minute because obviously we just signed their goalkeeper, so that's all everyone cares about. Man City have got Porto, Olympiacos, and Marseille. So that's the 4 British teams done, dusted. But yeah, nice. Anyway, Tom.
Yeah, so
moving on.
We're moving on. I'll tell you what, I would like to just direct people who listen to this podcast to Rouse Pod. I think I've decided to do it fairly more frequently than this because I do it once Alice has gone to work, and I just sit there and so between 7 and 7:30 a.m. I think of little silly things to say, and I record them. But now I've got access to this room again. I'm going to try and do a few more little sketches and skits as well, which I've included in the first couple of podcasts. So if you wouldn't mind, go and listen to that. And they're only 5 minutes.
It's been good.
Anyway.
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed them. They have been good. I have enjoyed. I can't tell you which is my favourite because I can't remember the names of them.
I was just gonna say, what's been your favourite bit? Because just you've got some very strange, which are always the same. You know, naming these podcasts as well. You always come up with some convoluted names somehow. I think these ones are actually a bit more easier. But when we were doing the other ones previously, but yeah, go and listen to it. Where can they find it, Tom? What do they need to look up? If you type in Rouse Pod into most things, I don't think it's been distributed to everywhere that you can get places on Anchor yet. But let me just tell you where you can find it. You can get it on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public. I would very much like to know as well, who is the 3% of my listeners for that podcast come from Ireland, 25% come from the US. So unless it's I don't know anybody, I don't think, who lives in the US. So whether it's people who have listened to this podcast and just love me so much.
My friends. Yeah. They're obviously loving it.
Well, they should tell their friends as well and spread the word.
Trump in particular, I've heard is Trump and Biden of trying to tap into you to make sure that you aren't just slagging them off every single time you can.
That's absolutely fine. How's your podcast going then, Billy?
It's good.
Around the world in 80 pods.
Around the world in 80 pods. It's going okay. Episode 5 went out this week. I've had there's been a bit of an issue because episode 6 is supposed to come out next week. I'm having to think on my feet because the person who's supposed to come on is currently back in and they're having some technical issues. So I'm drafting in a replacement as we speak. So I hope I can board that. Otherwise, I'll just knock it on a week. But that'll be the end of season 1. It's going well. I'm not far off now at 100 total plays, which I'm quite chuffed with.
Good.
You are obviously, Tom, the main man, as always, being episode 1 with the majority of the listens. But yeah, it's slowly plugging away, which is, and I think both of us agree, even this podcast, we do it more for the laugh and the fun and the enjoyment of it rather than, we don't look at the numbers too much.
Exactly. Well,
but I am obviously raking in the money, obviously now with all my adverts and stuff, which is the main thing as well.
I know. I'll just inform you now. We can, I'll just tell you how much money we've got so we've got £1.80 at the moment from this podcast. So I'll send you 90p in the post, sellotape to an envelope.
Yeah. Roll it on. Wait till I get to £1 and then you can set the first class down.
Okay.
But anyway, I know. I think it's my turn to do the recommendation this week, isn't it?
It is.
I think you did it last week with your order. Mine is only going to be for a limited time because it's for people to go and watch NBA finals. I have managed to sneak it in, Tom. Something an American sport, purely because I haven't got anything else. But yeah, it's the NBA finals. They've started. They started today. It was the first game yesterday, and it's between the LA Lakers with LeBron James and Miami Heat, which is one of the teams that I used to support. So I have quite a vested interest in it. And it's over it will definitely finish by the 12th. It could be over by the 7th of this month. Obviously, it's on at a stupid o'clock in the morning, so you can record it on Sky and things like that. But it's supposed to be a quite close game. People are, even though Lakers are the odds-on favourites and they have won game 1, spoiler alert, it is one that you should watch. It's 10 years since the Lakers have been in the NBA Finals, and obviously with Kobe Bryant unfortunately passing away this year. There's been a lot of hype around the Lakers now going on and using that as motivation to go and win the championships, especially with LeBron there. So it could be, one of those stories which gets turned into a documentary. I can see it in a few years' time, especially with the unfortunate events which have led up to Kobe Bryant's death and stuff. So yeah, go and watch it if you can. Even if you can just watch the highlights, it'll be something good. I know, Tom, you got asked this week, obviously, about your favourite basketball team.
A couple of hours ago, one of the children said, "Sir, who's your basketball team?" I went, "None of them."
Which I am quite disappointed about, because previously we have had quite a few discussions about teams and stuff. But obviously you haven't been, because where have you've obviously been to the US once, and obviously you didn't watch the game and stuff, but you went to Washington.
Twice I've been. I've been to a few places in America as well. So I can name teams if Chicago.
Go on then,
Bulls.
name some of them. Chicago Bulls, yeah.
The New York Jets.
That's an American football team, but
God, I know the Yankees are baseball.
Yeah.
Knicks
are the basketball team, yeah.
And the Mets. They're the two ones in New York.
Yeah.
Boston.
I think Mets might be baseball.
I thought there was two. Basketball teams.
They were the Brooklyn. There's two basketballs, and they call them the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets and the Knicks are the two New York-based teams.
Okay. You've got the Tampa Bay Tampons. You've got
who else?
California Courgettes.
Yeah.
They're
new this season. It's their debut season this season.
Yeah. San Francisco Sausages and the Texan Barbecue Ribs.
Cool. You aren't far off. There are quite a few of those places which have teams, so I'll let you off. Maybe the names are up for debate and stuff, but yeah. Have you?
Dallas Donkeys.
Obviously, the NFL started as well. Dallas Donkeys. Well, it's the Cowboys is the American football team, and I know they have been referring to us a few times. But all American sports moving forward, Tom, just because all the kids are going to ask you about them. But yeah. I've got nothing else, Tom, unless you have, because we're avoiding talking about our football teams because they're abysmal. So we'll just end it.
We're not talking about football this week. Well, believe it or not, Billy, the cricket season's still going on, and the 2020 finals days on Saturday, I believe. I did have tickets for it, but I don't think I'll be allowed to go anymore. We just check, because I haven't actually been following it really. Yes, so Surrey, Lancashire and Gloucestershire reached 2020 finals day. So cricket in October is insane, because usually when the season goes on to the end of September, everybody's going, "Oh, this is madness. It's too late. It's a summer sport. Should start it earlier, like April, because the weather tends to be okay, but chilly." But now, just the thought of playing cricket in October sends shivers down my spine. But yeah. So that's my recommendation for the Saturday: is sit and watch the 2020 cricket.
There you are. You've got two recommendations again this week, like last week. So there we are.
Yeah, but instead I'll be going to the Tip all day on Saturday. So
I thought it wouldn't take long for Alice. I thought it wouldn't take long for Alice to have enough of you, and you'd have to move out into the Tip and stuff. Yeah, exactly. But there we are.
Exactly.
Actually, Tom, one thing, Tom, that I want to know, because obviously we haven't alluded it too much, but obviously now has the Fish moved to the new establishment? This is the important question that I want to end the podcast with.
For those of you watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see. Can you see that, Billy?
I can. There he is. He's still alive and kicking.
Ben Stokes, the Fish. I don't know if we ever mentioned that on the podcast before.
I think we did. Yeah, so, we definitely did, because there was a period about around this time last year where you didn't shut up about Ben Stokes, and hence
I don't think I've ever mentioned Ben Stokes before on the podcast, Billy. So I've got a goldfish called Ben Stokes. Any pet that has a first name and a surname as its name is is the best pet.
I'm surprised you haven't named him Sir. Sir Ben Stokes.
No, because he will get that title when Ben Stokes gets that title. But no, the fish has been here for probably about a month now. I think he came towards the end of the summer holidays.
Okay.
And it was quite an operation to move him. We had to go to the pet shop and buy lots of carrier bags, proper fish bags. Because not only did we have to bring him over, but we had to bring a lot of his tank water with him.
I thought you were going to say all his toys, his lead,
yeah.
his food.
Yeah. Yes, he's been here for a little while now, and he's settled in lovely. The cat hasn't worked out that he's here yet, or if he has, he hasn't worked out that he's edible, and he's sort of
maybe the cat's vegetarian as well.
Maybe, although he does eat fish every day for his dinner, because I give it to him. But no, and in fairness, the cat, whose name is Frank, he's had a very stressful couple of weeks because because obviously the kitchen being ripped out. So and now his little cupboard has moved. He's just about learnt where his food was before. So he sits out when he's hungry. He just sits by this cupboard. But now the cupboard's moved, so he sits by what is now the bin. So I open the bin for him. There you go. He goes. He just looks, going, what am I supposed to do here?
I was going to hope you say, because some people have the dishwasher and it's hidden by one of those. Like they hide it, and they'll have a proper door and stuff. But it was like the dishwasher, and he just jumps into the dishwasher or something like that.
Well, he was enjoying jumping into all the cabinets and stuff when they were empty, and because we had the boxes everywhere, he likes climbing up as high as he possibly can, and he was doing that. He was like sleeping on top of the fridge and stuff that we've had. So it's a shame for him really now that it's all been finished, but never mind. We'll have to get the loft done or something soon.
Yeah, cool. There we are.
But anyway.
I know the listeners will be pleased now to hear about the fish, because I think it's a good note to end on that. It has survived the journey.
Well, we know from experience how often people just kill fish on journeys home.
Kill your fish.
Exactly, yeah. But the one time that I do it survives. So, it's not me that is the problem.
We're not trying to escape you.
Yeah, on that bombshell. We'll see you all next week. Listen to my other podcast. Listen to Billy's other podcast. Just tell everybody that you've ever met about this podcast. Perhaps we should try some kind of campaign. Maybe we buy some stickers or something for podcasts. I don't know. All right. Anyway, bye everybody. Bye.
Bye.